Information was withheld from the court, is that correct?
Among other reasons, yes.
Yeah, and somebody actually altered an email.
Correct.
Right. So there were 17 violations that Mr. Horwitz found, but I can't stress enough to the country that he found the most egregious of all. The dossier was the only reason the Carter Page warrant was issued to begin with. And in January 2017, the man who provided Steele with all the information told the FBI it was a bunch of garbage, and they used it twice more.
Hey you guys, welcome to Uniquely Mixed, where I keep you updated on politics and conspiracies and help you out with how it all comes together. Now I want to talk about what's going on in politics right now. We got Congress hearings going on, and a lot of it is based on Obamagate. Obamagate came from Watergate, where Nixon got busted spying on DNC headquarters. So that's where Donald Trump is now thinking that Biden and Obama did the same thing back in 2016. So we having hearings on this Mueller report and this Steele dossier. Now there's going to be some interesting stuff, because we got people on both sides of this that think the people on Trump's side is corrupt, and we think all the Democrat people are corrupt. So now we got these two juicy hearings going on. 2020, we've had the most recent hearings with Sally Yates, Miss State Attorney General, who's been in business for 27 years. She was appointed by Obama. And then in 2016, in January, she got kicked out by Donald Trump. I wonder why that is. We're probably going to find out here soon. And then we have the man Ron Rosenstein, who jumped in her place a few months after that. And it looks like both of them signed a FISA warrant that seems to be corrupt. And it seems like they might have knew that it was corrupt already.
Sally Yates, the former Deputy Attorney General in the Obama administration, now set to testify before Senate Judiciary tomorrow about the FBI's Trump-Russia probe and the meeting Sally Yates attended in the Oval Office in January 2017 with President Obama, where there was a debate about how to go after General Michael Flynn. After the FBI found no case against Michael Flynn.
Earlier today, former acting Attorney General Sally Yates testified in front of, Lindsey Graham's Senate Judiciary Committee, just like Rod Rosenstein. Took a while, but then she finally had to admit, knowing what she knows now, she never would have signed the phony, fraudulent Carter Page FISA application based on Russian disinformation that was really used to spy on candidate Trump, and deep into the presidency of Donald Trump.
So she had a whole meeting with Obama on how to fire Flynn, but she didn't know about these bad papers.
Knowing then what you know now, would you sign that application?
Would never knowingly sign a document. I didn't do that in the 27 years I was.
I believe you didn't know. I believe you didn't know that what you signed was wrong. The question is, if you had known, you wouldn't have signed it. Is that correct?
No, if I had known that it contained incorrect information, I certainly wouldn't have signed.
We'll also learn more today about just how there was a big breakdown in terms of the Carter Page FISA process, how bad it was. It was unverified, uncorroborated, untrue. And by the way, everybody was warned as early as August 2016. Sally Yates admitting that the Steele dossier Clinton paid for with Russian disinformation.
Did you just hear that? He said Clinton paid for it.
Steele dossier Clinton paid for was in fact critically important to the Carter Page FISA application. And Yates revealed even more of Comey's bad behavior.
Did Comey go rogue?
You could use that term, yes.
Here we go. The fingers are starting to point. I don't think it's looking too good for Miss Sally Yates. She ended that testimony by pointing fingers, by saying she would never sign a document that she knew was falsified. But now we know that she had an appointment with Obama and Biden administration before in January 2017. So, this is going to be some stuff. Now we're going to Rod. Let's see what Rod's hearing sounded like. Was he pointing fingers? Did he have good answers? Let's see what we got going on with Mr. Rod Rosentein.
Yep, he's the guy that also signed the fourth FISA warrant, the third renewal. He's also the guy that sent the scope memorandum to Bob Mueller.
So Mr. Rod wants us to believe that he didn't read any of these papers that he signed. He just came into office. Everybody before him did all the papers. He trusted them all, and he just signed off on the papers.
What to investigate? His testimony today, no collusion. No evidence of collusion. His quote, not sure if he even read the whole Carter Page FISA application in the first place. You're kidding me? We now know it was Russian disinformation paid for by Hillary, and without which there was no FISA application. Take a look.
You asked me about reading the FISA. There are a lot of FISA applications that come through. Some are more significant than others. This one was unusual in that I already knew about it because of the Russia investigation. Most of the FISA applications that are presented to me, I'm the last eyes on them before they're filed to the court, and I know nothing about them. This one I actually knew a fair amount about, and they gave it to me in advance so I could review it. I'm not sure I read every page, but I was familiar with what was in it.
So he is admitting that he knew about it beforehand. He had plenty of time to read it, read over it. So Mr. Rod wants us to believe that he didn't read any of these papers that he signed. He just came into office. Everybody before him did all the papers. He trusted them all, and he just signed off on the papers. So he should not be at fault.
In January 2017, the man who provided Steele with all the information told the FBI it was a bunch of garbage, and they used it twice more. What kind of country is this? What happens to people who do that? Did you know that? You didn't know that, did you?
No, sir.
Do you think McCabe knew that?
I hope not, Senator. I do not personally know.
Was he in charge of the investigation?
Yes, he was.
Did he ever lie to you?
Mr. McCabe, I don't believe, Senator, that there were any occasions in which I identified that he lied to me.
Okay. Did he ever say anything, looking back, that is perplexing to you?
Well, that's a very broad question, Senator. I had a lot of
Do you
conversations.
think he was truthful to you?
Well, I believed, Senator, that Mr. McCabe was not fully candid with me. He certainly wasn't forthcoming.
Mr. McCabe, who will be in hearing in September, he said Mr. Rosenstein approved of and suggested ways to enhance their investigation.
In particular, Senator, with regard to Mr. Comey's memoranda of his interviews with the president and with regard to the FBI's suspicions about the president, Mr. McCabe did not reveal those to me for at least a week after he became acting director, despite the fact that we had repeated conversations focusing on this investigation. I relied on what I understood to be in the application.
Y'all, this is a tricky one for Mr. Rod because he came into this situation at the end of it, but he still signed all these papers. And he's saying that he didn't really read all of them because a lot of cases come through. Come on now, President of the United States case. How often do you get a case like this in history and you didn't read all the documents?
Did you believe they committed a crime?
I believe that I understood that there was predication to investigate it. I didn't believe.
What was he about to say? If you would have just let him finish that sentence, he didn't believe what?
I didn't believe.
Where did that come from? Who gave you that predication?
Well, that came from information that came to me from the FBI, initially from.
Was it from Strzok and Page? Are those the people preparing all these documents?
I don't know who was preparing.
Were they in charge? Were they still the investigators for Mueller early on?
My understanding, Senator, is that Ms. Page and Mr. Strzok were working with the Mueller.
Well, these are the same people doing Crossfire Hurricane, and they gave you a document to sign, and here's my belief that they prepared the document, that they defined the scope of their own investigation. Is that fair to say? That you were just a conduit for it?
Well, I'm relying on information that's coming up.
Yeah, well, you didn't do an independent investigation yourself, did you?
My job isn't to do the investigation.
No, did you do, you didn't do you basically relied on what they gave you. Is that fair to say?
Relied on the information that.
Yeah, just like you did with the warrant.
Correct.
Okay, so the same people that gave you the warrant application also gave you the scope investigation for Mueller. So that's why we're here, to find out how much we can trust these people.
I have a great feeling this guy is going to get down to the bottom of everything in this case.
Let's continue.
Was there a crime being looked at or
This
not?
particular case, yes.
What was the crime?
The original crime, underlying crime, was the Russian
Paid for by Hillary.
influence operations.
Okay, can you
Hacking.
tell us what evidence existed that General Flynn was colluding with the Russians in May of 2017?
After the FBI found no case against Michael Flynn.
I don't, the evidence against General Flynn, first of all, Senator.
What evidence existed that General Flynn was colluding with the Russians in 2017, May of 2017.
I can't comment about that case, Senator, beyond what's in the
Did you
public
know
record.
that in January the 4th, 2017, the FBI field office said, we recommend that General Flynn be removed from Crossfire Hurricane?
No, I did not.
Okay. Would that have mattered if you had known that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that they had recordings of Mr. Papadopoulos somewhere overseas saying, no, I never worked with the Russians, words to the effect that if the campaign did, that would be treason? Did you know that existed?
No, I did not.
The dossier claims that Manafort was, that Carter Page was a conduit at Manafort passing along Russian information. Are you aware of the fact that Carter Page has said numerous times, I never talked to Manafort?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So the point is, when you made this appointment, the people named in it, there's zero evidence they were working with the Russians.
He says 0, y'all.
And this went on for 2 years. $25 million, and people had their lives turned upside down. That General Flynn, in January the 4th, 2017, the FBI agents who'd been looking at him said they recommended he be dropped, and our good old buddy Strzok said, no, the 7th floor wants to look at him. If you had known that, would you have asked more questions?
Yes.
For someone to be the head honcho, he seems to not know a lot about a lot.
The point is, the whole concept that the campaign was colluding with the Russians, there was no there in August 2017. Do you agree with that general statement or not?
I agree with that general statement.
Thank you.
Okay, despite all this, Rosenstein still, remember, we already had debunked starting January 21st, the subsource Christopher Steele, when they finally got around to trying to verify Hillary's misinformation, Russian paid for, they found, yeah, the subsource didn't back up Steele. Steele didn't back up Steele. That means he appointed this guy for no reason, putting the country and the president and his administration and all the people that work for him 2.5 years through hell, which he says, well, he wouldn't do now.
Rosenstein said, no, I wouldn't have signed the warrant if I knew then what I know now. Sally Yates threw him under the bus, that he went rogue, that he set up General Flynn for, as you say, to manufacture a crime.
Ooh-wee. This is juicy, and this is only the first 2 hearings of 2020. We got the next one coming up in September. We got McCabe, who they pointed out. That's who they was pointing fingers at, you guys. So you saw that Ron pointed fingers to McCabe, and then McCabe came back. That was that little flash of email that I sent you that McCabe's response to was to Rosenstein's testimony. So this is going to be interesting when McCabe gets to answer all his questions. Ooh-wee, y'all.
Here's the point, that Rosenstein and Yates are running away from Crossfire Hurricane. She threw Comey under the bus. Comey sat on top of one of the most corrupt investigations, Crossfire Hurricane, in the history of the FBI, and the rats are jumping ship. Bad day for Jim Comey.
In that January 5th Oval Office meeting, she puts the Logan Act, which nobody's ever been prosecuted for and been in existence in 1799. She puts those words in the mouth of Jim Comey.
So here's what I can tell you, that if Comey's writing a book, it should be called Rogue. The best way to describe his tenure as FBI director is he was rogue, that he ran every stop sign. There's no way in hell that he didn't know the dossier had been basically proved to be unsound by the Russian subsource interview in January. My goal is to prove that he did know, and he got warrants against Carter Page anyway. The bottom line is, we know that General Flynn was not working with the Russians. On January the 4th, 2017, they wanted to take him out of Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI agents in the Washington Bureau. So in August, why is his name still there? We know that Carter Page was no more a Russian agent than I am a Chinese astronaut. We know that the dossier used against Carter Page was a bunch of garbage. They knew that in January 2017. Why was his name listed in August 2017?
All right, so the question now in play is,
how was it possible that the FBI and the Department of Justice defrauded the FISA court numerous times and nobody knew about it? Well, what did Rod Rosenstein say? If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have signed the warrant. You know why he said that? Because if you knew that the subsource had told the FBI that the dossier was a bunch of garbage, and you signed the warrant anyway, you're a candidate to go to jail. But the most stunning thing to me was that the scope memo outlining what Mueller could do was prepared by the same people that defrauded the court. The ultimate, the fox guarding the henhouse. The same people who lied to the court set up the Mueller investigation. It wasn't Rosenstein. It was the people who lied to the court and manipulated the evidence, set up the whole damn Mueller investigation.
So if I got this right, Mr. Chairman is saying that Mr. General Flynn and Mr. Page got set up by our own people because they hate Donald Trump so much. So the FBI committed a crime because they hate Donald Trump so much. Is that what I'm getting? Alright, this is where I wrap it up. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to keep you guys posted on what happens to McCabe in September. And you guys, while we're waiting, follow along to what happens over on Donald Trump's side. We got some Republicans that are getting locked up for some fraud and a whole bunch of other stuff. Let's go check it out.